Nick here with another review. This is the Serpent Hunter by Neca Toys, and this is from the Alien vs. Predator video game that came out in 2010. And I like how Neca gave him his own custom packaging there with his mask. It's really cool that they go to that attention to detail, especially since this is probably the only figure that they're going to get to use that packaging for. And I love the lime green coloring for it. The font, all of it. It looks really cool from like a graphic design perspective. Here are the other figures in the wave, the Elder Predator and the Youngblood Predator from AVP. I haven't decided if I wanted to pick those up yet or not. I do have a lot of the AVP Preds, but I definitely wanted to pick this one up right away because of his unique mask, and I also really like the color palette on him as well. The bio on the back goes into some explanation as to why he has this mask, and it also kind of builds up a little bit of a character for him and some backstory. So I'll bring that up so you can pause that and read that for yourself. Really interesting stuff. So first I'm going to go ahead and go over the accessories to get those out of the way. We get a shuriken with him, which we have gotten many of those before. This one, though, instead of having this copper coloring to it, it has a little bit more of a reddish color to it, because there is kind of a red thing going on with this guy. He has lots of red lines and stripes on him that bring out a lot of the details. He also comes with two interchangeable hands. Now, these are the ones that are the grasping hands. For these AVP Preds, they've sculpted open hands, grasping ones, and fisted palms. So you get two grasping hands, one left one right one, and that is to either hold the shuriken or the little sword that can be removed from his sheath. This is what they use to make their trophies, and even this has the reddish coloring on it instead of the copper coloring, which is really cool. Nice attention to detail. But I'm going to keep the fisted hands on. They can just pop off of the ball joint quite easily. In fact, if you have other AVP Preds, you can take the hands from those ones or swap the hands off of these ones, because the skin coloring matches for the most part, and it's the same sculpt, so they're interchangeable. Now, the mask is the most noticeable thing on this Predator. It reminds me, obviously, of the Xenomorph, specifically the 1986 design, so I really like that. It does have the little methane hoses there, which are just going to be dangling in the package, because they're just going to be out like that. But I tuck them in behind the dreadlocks. They don't have anything on the other end. They're just kind of cut at the end, but there should be a hole in his back somewhere where you can plug them in. I haven't found it, but until then I'm just tucking it underneath the dreadlocks, which I think looks really nice. Also, the dreadlocks on this one, they're all black, but the little rings and jewelry on him have a nice silver coloring to it, instead of the copper and all the other miscellaneous colors, which I think really helps. I don't know, it just adds something to him. There's just something about the silver and red highlights in this really, really dark, almost black armor on him that really looks good. It actually makes sense that he's a darker color, because his armor is meant to look like a xenomorph, because he's a xenomorph hunter. So I like how he's closer to the xenomorph color palette. Really nice looking. And the skin coloring is really good with him too. Now, obviously the head is different, but the rest of the body, the sculpt underneath, is reused, but the armor, almost all of the armor is new. This piece right here is just half of Scar Predator's armor. This bone necklace is brand new. Let's see, what else here? The shoulder cannon, I believe, is Chopper's, but again, it's in this darker color palette. We have these bands with these small skulls and bones on them for the biceps, and then also these wrist blades are brand new. These aren't like the other AVP wrist blades where they pop in and out and you can swap out like shorter ones or medium ones or really long ones. These ones are tracked in and out quite far, and they're still quite big, but not as big as the AVP ones. So they're kind of in between the classic Predator blades and the AVP ones. So to me, it's a good balance. It's a good in between. Also, this wrist blade is different because it has the wrist gauntlet on it. This is the first time I've ever seen a Predator that has a wrist computer on his same gauntlet as the wrist blades, and that's really nice looking in there. I like that they painted all that in there, so it reminds me of the ultimate city hunter or the ultimate jungle hunter that we're getting. So I like that Neca has those opening wrist computers on these finally. Also, brand new on this figure, I would say his loincloth is new. Some of the armor on his side there and the belt is repurposed, but again, we have more skulls there, also new, and his legs, particularly his lower calves, are new. That's new armor, newly sculpted. The sheath is new, the same, and the feet appear to be reused. But very few reused pieces on this Predator, but those that are have a brand new deco. I would say this is a mostly new figure. Like, he feels like he's 70-80% new pieces, which is very nice. So I think out of the series, he's the most interesting one, and he also seems to be the best value because you're getting the most new stuff with him. Now, as far as articulation goes, the head will go side to side, up and down. The arms can come out quite far. This one's going to be slightly hindered by this shoulder cannon, but it still comes up pretty good. The bicep joint allows you to do a full 360. We can do more than a 90-degree bend at the elbow, fully extend it because it's a double joint. There's a swivel at the forearm, and of course ball joints at the wrist as well, so really good articulation there. Nice rocker movement at the upper torso, not hindered at all because he has limited armor up there. And then we have a nice waist joint that moves forward and back and side to side as well. All of the joints on this one, I don't want to go so far as to say they're loose, but they're not stiff. They're like right in between. It feels like I've been messing around with him a little bit. So the legs can come out quite far, or they can go in very tight. And then we also have double knee joints as well. Now, I just said nothing was stiff. Okay, there we go. Double knee articulation for crouching. And again, not as hindered as the other AVP Preds because of the way his armor is done. He's armored up, but not quite so much. He doesn't look as bulky or cumbersome as the other Preds. In fact, he looks very sleek in the leg area. So I like that. And then we have the ball joints at the ankles as well. Really nice. Nice little pivot there. So I would have to say this Predator is probably in my top 5 just because he looks so unique. He would possibly be my favorite Predator if there was a removable mask or an interchangeable head. Now, I think it would be cool if they did a version that had his unmasked face, and if his face was really unique, just like the mask. Now, I think it would be cool if the Predator face underneath almost looked like Chatterer from Hellraiser, like if it was a Predator that was maybe like blinded and lost his eyes, or he didn't have like his mandibles, or both, and instead his face looked very similar to that Xeno mouth. Like if he was just a really scarred up Predator and all there really was to his face was a pair of teeth. I think that would be very unique and interesting for a Predator, and I just think it would be cool. So if they did something like that, if they had given him a removable mask or an interchangeable head with a very unique unmasked head sculpt, that would definitely make this figure perfect. It's nothing that costs me in regards to knocking him down, like from a 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10, because I still like him. I don't see any flaws with him, but that would make him probably my favorite Predator. Instead, he's somewhere in the top 5, but I'm really liking him. He feels, even though he's the AVP body type, he feels kind of like Jungle Hunter-like, because he has this smaller cannon here, which I'm glad they used. I don't like the big bulky one. he has kind of like an asymmetrical feel because they just gave him the shoulder armor there. He's a little bit sleeker. As you can see, the coloring is darker. But yeah, I really like him. I especially like the new wrist blade feature. Even though they're so big and they're so long, it amazes me that they were able to slide them in and out like that and conceal it so well. And then also the opening wrist gauntlet. So, of course, lots of really exciting features with this Predator. He really stands out in the collection, and I highly recommend him. If you could only get one in the set, definitely pick up this one. It's probably the #1 question I get asked in the comments section, and that is, where does he get those wonderful toys? And I tell ya, I get all my collectibles from freshfigures.com. I've been a collector for as long as I can remember, and I've dealt with quite a few different online retailers, at least a few dozen. And sure, there's been ones that have fast shipping, there's ones that have really cheap shipping, ones that have really good customer service, but never before until dealing with Fresh Figures have I encountered one like them where all those qualities are in one place. And I tell you, I've been doing business with them for at least a year. I've had many, many transactions with them, as you can see on my channel, and I've yet to be dissatisfied once. You can pre-order upcoming releases from them, and you can also purchase the currently released figures, all the recently revealed hot items out there. And like I said, you're going to get your items real quick for a really fair shipping price. They're going to be packed well, and you're going to be dealing with some very nice people. So, even if you aren't a collector, or even if you have a set retailer that you like to visit, I'd encourage you all to check out Fresh Figures, browse through the categories. There's a lot of different franchises here, lots of different companies, and all kinds of collectibles available from low price points to the more high-end price points. So as always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.